Welcome to The Empowerment Show, a podcast designed to empower women like you to take control of your lives, make informed decisions, and redefine success on your own terms, beyond the noise of influencer culture. Okay, welcome back everyone to The Empowerment Show. Today, we are going to talk about a topic that we teased in our first episode together, and we just felt we didn't do it justice. So we're coming back and talking about dating today. Obviously, it warrants having a cocktail, and if anybody's watching the video, they can probably see my cat's tail wagging. It requires having a therapy cat as well. So, ladies, we all have our drinks, and we're ready to dive in. I think we need to come back to a phrase that Adama introduced on our first episode called low ROI. Adama, please tell our listeners why we believe dating is so low ROI.
I mean, when you are doing things and you are looking for an actual quantifiable return on your investment, I think you do that across everything in your life. I think you do it for personal relationships. I think you do it for work. I think you do it for things you purchase. I think you do it for investment. I think you do it across everything you do. And it's not like you go into relationships looking for something transactional. Like, that's not how I approach relationships, right? But in general, like when you look at dating men, and I mean, look, this is for the girlies who are trying to date men. Like, I've heard that men are far better. Every woman I know is far superior to almost every man I know. So like maybe it's better on that side. But when you're talking about dating men, I mean, I don't know if it's the apps. I don't know if it's the podcasts, the incel culture, like whatever, the manosphere, whatever. It is like incredibly low ROI to date men. You spend a bunch of time getting ready, looking good, showing up. And men show up wearing hoodies. Men show up like with dirty fingernails. Men show up and are like,
eyebrows.
Yeah, they're like, you're splitting with me, right? And like, if I have to split a meal with you, like you can't even buy, like that's not even on your bingo card for the day. My 2-year-old nephew, when we go to In-N-Out, is like, oh, auntie, here's like $3, like trying to buy my meal. And like a grown ass man is like, you don't mind if we go 50-50? I don't mind that at all. In fact, let me go 100. I'll pay for everything. You leave right now, though.
Just to be clear, this is over.
Clear, because at least the ROI on me buying my own dinner, I know what that looks like. I don't know what it looks like to split a meal with you that I'm already mad now that I got to split it because, like, what are we even doing here?
What are we doing here?
The ROI is there. So that's my thing on it. And God help you if you go even longer into these relationships and you get yourself more caught up with these men children. Yeah. When you're not only showing up every day, you're putting an effort every day. You're calling every day and you're dealing with the good morning beautiful texts. Like,
yeah, it's a lot. I get it. Was there ever a relationship or an experience for you, Adama, that just like was the nail in the coffin?
Oh yeah. Like,
tell us.
I've had like I've had many bad experiences with men who were like, secretly married, not single.
Yep.
Secretly, like, don't actually have a job when you really drill down on it. Like, still live at home, but want to know what you bring to the table. Like, I mean, I have the same stories that many, many women have, but
it's not unique anymore, sadly.
It's totally not unique. And it just, I haven't been on apps in a really long time, but one of my girlfriends told me that she had been on apps for like 11 years and that she had literally like close to like 1 million views on her profile, like on Match or whatever. But she was like, Adama, I've had 3 dates.
So that's what we call low ROI.
I mean, that's not even worth setting up a profile.
No. No, that's so, it's just sad to me, honestly. Cause like when I talk to like my mom and all their friends and like people who lived in the world pre dating apps and pre just like modern culture, it just sounded so much more positive and fun and fulfilling. And maybe that's because, and we can get into this, expectations of women's roles in society changed. And so dating was a much more, it was almost like a requirement, right? Because like women had to get married to be able to like live literally.
But there was a defined process, right?
Right.
Where normally the man took the lead.
Yes.
But if you asked him out, no matter who asked who out, but like there was this understanding that a man was trying to woo you, court you in some way, shape, or form, like make it feel like he was the best choice. And now these dudes think they're the best choice.
Right.
They want to know, like, they will take a woman who is beautiful, accomplished, got a great job. They want to know, what do you bring to the table? Because like they want you in their house doing all the things you already do, plus taking care of them.
Or worse, there's like, you can fall into the trap of like faux dating, right? Like they're not taking you out. You're not their girlfriend, but they call you every single day. Like they're always over at your place. They're always like, where you at? Why don't you come out? And they're like trying to get all of the dating bennies without doing any of the dating work. And they will suck the goddamn life and time out of you if you allow for this.
So they're men children is what they are.
You know, I was thinking about this before this episode, and like I have run a 30-year gambit at this point. Like I have gone down as young as 31 and as old as 61.
And Sam, for our listeners, how old are you? Just so we can like
42, right in the middle, right in the middle.
Oh God.
Down.
I just snorted. Damn it. I never wanted to do that on this.
Anyway, they're like, I always thought like, well, they're older, so they'll be better. No. Okay, I'll go younger. No, it's the same. And people are like, well, he's too young for you. I'm like, he acts exactly like the 60-year-old who was too old for me, but they were samesies. Like, just,
yeah.
There's not a huge difference even with age, right? So,
yeah. Just
for anyone who thinks like, maybe I'll go up or go down. I mean, there's some anatomical differences there, but notwithstanding that.
It's funny. Like, I haven't talked about this, I think, with either of you to date, but like I used to date older and like it was never, I think the max I went was like 18 years older than me, but this is when I was like 23 or 4. So, they were above 40 at that point. Right. And,
when I was in my early, yes.
Similar deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it came from, so my first boyfriend ever, I met him when I was 19 and he was 26. And we dated throughout college. Adama is making a very sus face right now. We dated throughout college and it ended after I graduated for many reasons, which I don't need to go into, but for the best. But I kind of was used to being with men who were older than me. And I had gravitated to this gentleman when I was 19 because 19-year-old men were not what I was looking for. Neither were 20 or 21 or 22-year-old men. They just were not, we were not on the same plane.
Yeah.
So then when I moved to San Francisco after
Let me ask you a question. Then what was this 27-year-old man who was dating a 19-year-old? What was he looking for?
Oh God.
Just, we don't have to get it.
Actually, we can get into it a bit because I actually think it's related to like a broader issue right now in like modern dating in our culture. I think it was about control. What? I think he saw a young girl, because I was a girl, who he could mold into the woman he wanted. And in many ways, he succeeded at that. And yeah, like he, with finances, with sex, like we had sex, and then all of a sudden a year into our relationship, he's like, we're going to wait until we get married. Right.
That sounds like cheater talk.
And it wasn't cheating that was going on to my knowledge. And it's neither here nor there because I ended up getting married to a different man who is wonderful and never tried to gaslight me or control me. And yeah. But I do think it came down to control. And I think for a lot of men who go for younger women, it comes down to that. What's interesting right now, though, in modern dating is that we are not controllable anymore.
Yeah.
Some men are, but not like we have agency now. And that's a good thing. But I think it's really throwing men for a loop.
Well, it definitely like, you know, I can always tell when I go out with someone, I'm like, okay, I intimidate the absolute like pants off of this dude and not in a good way. And, you know, especially.
Can you please tell the steak tartare story, Sam?
Oh my God.
Sure. I also, you know, I'm also at a point where I make more money than most of the men that I date, and they like it until they don't, right? Like they like it when you're paying for dinner. So I have a list, which we'll get into shortly, of like every time I go out on a date and something, I'm very like permissive. I'm like, whatever, just like come as you are. I don't mind. Like, I don't feel like you have to control people and they shouldn't have to like be forced to jump through flaming hoops to like earn affection, right? Like, who are you? Let's figure that out. But also some people are just garbage and you find that out. Anyway, so I have a long list of like, you have to do this. You cannot do this. And every time I feel like I go on a date or date someone new, the list grows. So there was this one guy who definitely, by the way, falls into the category. This is like in the top 5 on the list. Must not be married to anyone else, and no one else believes that they are in a relationship with them. This is a question, because if you ask, like, are you married? They lie. And then later it's like, well, I'm getting divorced or I'm separated or whatever. If you ask if they have a girlfriend or sometimes even a boyfriend, they lie.
Yeah.
And then that chick or person is just crazy and thought they were together, but like they had a situationship and we're not really. Anyway, so this guy was one of those, but irrelevant to the purpose of this story. So he was like in commercial real estate and he didn't live in Sacramento. There's this great restaurant in Sacramento that's Michelin rated, Ella, which is a very nice restaurant to a lot of people, but it's right up the street from my office and it's sort of like a political hangout. So I'm there all of the time. And I didn't at the time really think of, you know, how it would appear to someone else. Anyway, he was coming into town for the day for work. And he was like, just pick a lunch spot. And I'm like, great, we'll meet at Ella.
Yeah.
And it was like a Wednesday. So this is already a mistake because every other lobbyist in the greater Sacramento area was in Ella that day for lunch. And was like, clearly, Sam is here on a date with this guy who, it did not help me. He had the same name and looked exactly like the guy that I had previously been dating. Also, do you remember that part, Adama? So anyway, people keep interrupting at like as we're getting settled to say like, oh, who's this? So it's already awkward. It's already like,
right.
You're here way too much. And the guy had been carrying on all day about, I can't wait to see you. I'm famished. I'm starving. Oh, by the way, I'm on a keto diet, looking to get some like good protein. Fine. So when we go to order, I get the cheeseburger because I am a real woman. And she goes, hey, I think I'm going to get the steak tartare. And I said, oh, well, the steak tartare is an appetizer. It's pretty small. And he says, no, it's fine. I just want the protein. And I said, okay, well, I don't think it's going to be enough. Sorry, allergy season in Sacramento. I don't think it's going to be enough food. And it comes with a lot of bread. And he's like, oh, well, I'll tell him no bread. So we end up waiting half an hour for our food. It gets there and I get my fabulous burger and he gets like this much.
Yeah, I've had that dish. It's a lot of bread, a little bit of steak tartare.
Right, with like a little quail egg or something on top.
Yeah,
right.
Quail egg, a teeny egg.
Yeah,
and then he got no bread, so joke's on him.
Right, and he has no vehicle of delivery. So he picks up his fork and he is sitting there like picking up one little shred of steak tartare at a time.
I can't.
And like it just looks despondent. And I finally like throw my napkin on my plate and I just admit you have no idea what you ordered. Like, admit you don't know what steak tartare is. And he throws up his hands and he's like, what the fuck is this? Is it cat food? And I'm like,
yes, it's She would love that.
Great. And so I literally take a knife like a mommy, because this is what half of them want anyway, is a mommy. And I cut my burger in half and I put half of my burger on his plate. I'm like, there you go. Like, have that.
You shouldn't have done that. Oh.
Well, so then he walks me back to my office afterwards, and it is like 1 PM on a Wednesday. He's like, hey, can I get a kiss? And I'm like, under no circumstance.
He said, can I get a kiss?
No, you cannot. I don't know what you think about this interaction that would lead into sexy time at 1 on a Wednesday, but you are way off the mark, dude. Like, no.
Who orders something like there's just so much in that story that like incredible to me.
Like, I think actually now that I like have sort of gotten more information about this person since then, I think it's just actually really cheap. I think I brought him to one of the nicest restaurants in Sacramento.
Oh. Did he pay at the end of it?
No, we went fucking Dutch. I know.
He bought himself raw steak and a quail egg. That's all he could afford.
And he ate half of my food.
And still fixed his face to ask to split the check?
And for a kiss.
I cannot. I have a girlfriend. Okay. What is it? I don't understand men. I have a girlfriend who went on a date recently here. So I live in San Francisco. And I have to say, I am so thankful to be married and not have to deal with dating in any city, but particularly in this city. I have a girlfriend who went on a second date with a guy, and they went to dinner, and because she should not have offered to pay, she didn't, she didn't fake like getting out her wallet or her card at the end. She was like, no, you're still courting me. Like, I want you to pay because that is how it should be. Any man listening. And after the fact, he texted her and said, I don't think this is going to work because I was a little, put off by how you didn't offer to even split on date number 2. But she responded, no worries, like, have a great week, or like whatever she said. She was just very like nice about it. And my girlfriend's like one of the sweetest humans I've ever met. Confrontation is probably not her strong suit. But I'm like, this is the problem though, ladies. We're letting men get away with this bullshit behavior.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and the weirdest thing is, even when they get away with it, like, it's not like you don't gain from allowing the behavior. It's not like they make up for it in some other way. So so on the list, I'll hit a few. Like, number 1, has to woo me.
Yes.
Likes to spend holidays together, which is harder to find than you think. Has his own friends. And knows that I also have my own friends. Yeah. Financially stable.
Yep.
No untreated personality disorders. Welcoming or deceased family. Good if they're just dead to you, as long as I don't have to deal with them. Yeah. Has a therapist or has been to one.
Yeah.
Educates themselves for self-improvement.
Love that.
Shows up when they say they will. Does not get mad in a scary way.
Yeah.
I agree with all of this, Sam, but I will say one that I would counter argue a bit is, okay, none of us want to end up with somebody who like is thousands and thousands of dollars in credit card debt, or like just can't manage like themselves. Like, that's not attractive. And women, like, don't do that to yourself. I will say though, and my husband's in the other room, so he can hear everything I'm saying. Like, I made significantly more money than my husband did when we first started dating. And now, like, I'm the breadwinner. He's in between jobs. And like, it's all me. I have a lot of female friends who are dating, and when I was first dating Nathan, my husband, they were like, wait, what? Like, why are you dating him? Because like, what is he bringing to the table? Like, that was literally like a phrase my girlfriends used. And I was like, a lot more than any of the men you're dating. Financially speaking,
but it's not about how much money you make when we talk about that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
How can you manage the money that you make? Are you forward thinking, or do you send your paycheck immediately as soon as you get it?
Yes.
Are you living above your means? Are you driving
a reckless
a
gambler?
Porsche and living and you're sleeping on a mattress in a empty apartment?
Like, no, but I agree. But I think that in today's like influencer culture and like what you see on social media, we conflate like financial stability or soundness with somebody having millions of dollars and being able to fund your cush lifestyle. And I just don't think that's realistic.
People do, but I don't like, I don't expect a dude to make as much as me. Like, I think there's a very small percentage of men that are not married or pretending not to be married to someone else that like check all the other boxes and are in my salary range. But which is fine. But like, don't be reckless with your money.
Right.
Have a plan. Like, and I think the thing that's more important to me on being a match is you have to be like a close IQ match. You don't have to be a financial, but you have to be smart. I can't do dumb. I dated this guy for a while who was like a mouth breather, and he like would, when he typed, this is what killed it for me. He would be like,
for anybody not watching the video right now, Sam just made a face like somebody was
like concentrating deeply and trying to type, but yet their mouth is wide open and they're breathing like through their mouth.
Right. And these other things add up, like that tie into the financial aspects. Like if you're an active addict, you're probably not good with your money. Like, I can't tell you how many men over 40 I still know that are like on their parents' phone plan.
Oh my God.
Like, that's a no. We can't be on that. I mean, and these things start to like barrel roll. Like, usually you have one and then it just gets worse. You're like,
it's
this guy was.
There's the insurance.
Yep.
There's like all like if you are like if you're using somebody else's Netflix or like an ex-girlfriend.
If you're mooching in any way, it's not attractive.
Well, and this is why like ties with your ex have to be cut, except for like healthy co-parenting. Like, no, I don't want you to own a business together. No, I don't want you to own a bunch of property. No, I don't want you to like still have their Netflix account, because I don't want to hear about your ex all day if we're out together. Like,
that's right.
Like, that's not a red flag. It's the red banner.
Yeah. Why do we think though, like, it makes me really sad that women honestly like still just like, oh, hello, cat. They still just like put up with this behavior though. Like, so many of my friends, I want to shake them for even like entertaining a second or a third or whatever date with these kinds of men. Like, why do we think women are doing this to themselves?
Because they want love.
Well, I think that, but also like men actually can sit on some of these bad behaviors for a while, right? Like, I went on a few dates with someone who really was like going for the full love bombing, whatever. And then, the red flags sort of started to show up and I was like, and we're done here. But even then he still kept at it and the red flags continued to grow, right? Like, you don't necessarily know unless you want to do, and I joke about this, but like a full background check on someone before you go out on a date with them, credit check, criminal check. I want like to know your last 3 girlfriends and I want their phone number. Like, I want to call them and make sure the relationship ended the way that you said that it ended. Because my list includes stuff like does not use racial slurs. Like, one of the last guys I went out with who was British, like, threw racial slurs at me for being Irish. I'm like, what fucking year is this? Like, Irish slurs?
This was a late add to the list because right before she had that, I had a friend who had somebody throw out like a slur, like not realizing that
just thinking it was funny.
Yeah, and like not realizing that she was still on this, that she was actually on this text thread. He kind of like threw out there like, oh, I don't want to date like another like Gaza loving libtard. And she was like, so first of all, I'm Jewish. So there's that. Second of all, she had to ask me, she's like, what is a libtard? And I was like, I mean, it's a really dumb term. It's kind of like a slur using the word retarded, which no one who is a decent human being uses.
Well, yeah, plenty of people still use it, but yeah.
Right. No one is a decent human being, right? That's a word that we have all learned. And you learn, you evolve, you grow.
Totally. I've said shit in the past that like I would cringe at if I ever heard myself say those things. Can fully own that. But like, come on. Well, you don't know. No.
Yeah. So he just threw that out there and she was just kind of like,
yeah, no, not it.
Yeah.
Well,
and then this guy is like so deeply, so like you care that much. So you are so deeply MAGA. Then come to find out the man doesn't really
being MAGA?
Yeah. I mean, well, obviously from that comment, yes.
Got it.
Because who else is using that kind of term?
Well, this is also just like a whole other like can of worms because like now we're getting into like the politics of dating too nowadays and how they're so messy.
Right. And I've tried to be like politically ambiguous. I mean, I've dated a number of Republicans and I have never been a Republican. I dated independents. I honestly, like, the Republican men I've dated have been better about the dating part of dating than the Democratic men. The Democratic men I have dated have transitioned more towards like in the narcissistic sociopathic vein. Like, this is why I have things that are like, you can't go buy a fake name on my list. Like,
oh, wow. Okay.
But then on the other side, I also have like, well, I can't use those Republicans because I
please, can we, like, did somebody use like a nom de plume? Is there?
Yes, because they had like gone viral on the internet for being a total dick bag. And so they like went by a different name.
What?
Yes, like he had gotten drunk and acted up and like said a bunch of horrible stuff that went viral. And so he basically like changed his name, but didn't legally change his name.
No words.
Yeah. So
and this is what I mean. Low ROI. Like, I do this much goddamn due diligence. I can start a business.
Yeah.
Like, I can learn I can put myself together a hobby. Like, I can take up marathon running. Like, the number of things that I would rather do, literally including eating glass, trying to figure out this long list of like, how do I know I'm actually dealing with a decent human being?
Well, and then also, like, I feel like there are so many men that they want the value of having a woman in their life, and they realize that is like, oh, that's a good
way to now, as well as a husband.
For those that are not watching, Maddie's husband is refilling her wine glass. I am working.
We aspire towards ladies. Continue.
Yeah. I'm in my office. I have none of those. So
I would Uber eat someone for you if I could.
I'll toast you all later once I get back to my new place that we're still unpacking. Yeah, no, I think like there are so many men that are like, they want the wife and the house and the baby, and they want the situation that they can control and that sort of looks like the Christmas card. However, then this is also on the list, they don't actually like women.
That's right.
Like, they like women for sex and status, but they don't actually like
baby making
women.
Right. They don't like women. Like, one of the things on my list is you have to think I'm funny, but you also can't be mad about it.
Interesting. In terms of like you getting attention, Sam? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think I'm hilarious, but I also think like
we think you are too.
So number one, if you don't think I'm hilarious, I'm going to laugh at all my own jokes. You probably are not a match. But I think there is like sort of a jealousy factor of like, if you're the shiniest thing in the room. And I don't mind if my person outshines me. In fact, I will like make sure that they do, especially if it's something that they care about. But there's almost like
girlfriends going through that now, like women who, when they were younger, they married older men. And now these older men are,
getting gray.
And women in their 40s, they like are looking good these days. Like,
oh my God.
Like,
we're going to be 40 now.
Like, we're doing our big one in our 40s.
Yeah.
Women
It's
look
amazing.
good, skincare products, food and diet, like
Yeah. And
whatever.
just like,
Right?
yeah, modern science and medicine is
Well,
insane.
this is also why on the list are supportive and health and nutritional needs.
Yep.
Yeah.
No
There's
blamers,
a
no
lot of
shamers.
diet saboteurs out there.
The diet saboteurs are real. You know, my ex was
And
like,
gaslighters. Like if you
oh,
have
no
any sort of
gaslighters.
issues, like you're fine.
No gaslighters. I mean, literally none.
Yeah.
And, you know, also functioning anatomy. I'm sorry. Like,
Oh my god. Yeah, no, that's a good requirement. I mean,
sorry.
you know, like, yeah. Well, it's funny what you said earlier, Sam, about like not being, you know, if you're taking over the room where people are gravitating towards you. Something that early on, my husband, who just, you know, lovingly poured me wine, said we were out, must have been like third or fourth date, like still very early on. And I, for a while, like swore off dating because I had a slew of bad experiences and was just like kind of done. And, you know, was honestly planning to just like be single and have my cats and like be like happy as can be. And then Nathan walked into the picture. But we were out on a date and I told him, I was like, I'm really not interested in going anywhere here if like you're going to try to dim my light or make me feel like I have to be smaller, which by the way, I'm almost 6 feet tall. So like, that's a very difficult feat, but like that's kind of the theme of my life dating is like, I'm a tall person. I'm a big personality and I'm not a quiet person. And so, but like a lot of men have not taken well to that. And I just reached a point where I was like, I'm done trying to accommodate your own bullshit. And he said to me, he was like, you're not intimidating. Men are just intimidated.
Yeah. That's so true.
And it was such a wild realization. Like, and obviously I've married this man because like he got it and he just like saw who I was and loved me for who I was and didn't want to change anything about it. But I think a lot of men right now, because more and more women are like becoming confident in themselves and like being able to live whatever life they want to live. And like, that's a very intimidating thing for these men children.
Well, and I think that's something so important you said about like, he loved me for who I am. Like you can love someone where they're at and also where they're going to be, knowing everyone needs to grow and evolve. But like, we don't, I just really, I think there's such a toxic trend of like men and women of, you know, sort of like making people jump through hoops to earn affection. That it is just really sort of abusive. Like if you don't like the person you're with, don't be with them. If you can't meet them where they're at and where they're becoming, don't don't torture them into feeling like they're just not worthy. Or, you know, on the other hand, you have, and I feel like I get a lot of these, I get like what I think Adama, you know, I've talked about this, like butterfly collectors. They're like, oh, you're pretty and fun and smart and make good money. And like, you're down with the sexy stuff. Like you are all of these things. I would like to procure you and like collect you. I may not actually do anything with you. I may not ever commit.
Because you're like a unicorn or a butterfly or whatever.
I would actually like to pin your wings and keep you under glass.
Yes.
That's what you mean.
To,
Okay.
to, like no benefit of you. So this is the thing that I have to look out for because like, I know that I attract that type of man. And there's a lot of like, it's like they breadcrumb you to death. They're like, just a little here, just a little there, just to keep like your affection and your attention. And then all of a sudden you're in a glass box on a shelf and you're like, how did I get here? Like,
I mean, I don't even have that issue. Usually I will just, because when I live in New York City, so like you have to talk to people, like it's wild. But like, you know, like you just want to go have a drink.
The fact that you love it as much as you do astounds me.
There's things about it.
Minus the 8 million people.
Things about it that I really do love. But and one of them is that New Yorkers just talk to you. I do like that. That to me, it's incredibly. It makes you feel like there's just such a great community. I mean, like New Yorkers are really wild people, especially for me. But like a lot of these men, you see this in the very first conversation. They'll be like, "Well, you look great. Like, what are you, like, you're out having a drink alone. What are you celebrating? Bitch,
What?
it's Friday. Like, I don't know. Like, already,
I made it through another week.
like, already you're coming at me in a way that I just, I don't have energy for it.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
It's exhausting. Like,
there's
being a woman, especially a single woman.
Right. No, and people won't leave you alone. This is like the benefit of having a local, right? Like if you're going to go, like there's a bar I've been going to for, I don't know, probably 20 years. And I know the owners, the same staff has worked there. Sometimes I will just like go and get a drink in back and read. And there is always some kind of dude like that who's like, what are you celebrating? What are you doing here? Why are you alone? And the owner will pop up out of nowhere like a ninja and be like, she doesn't want to talk to you.
Love whoever she is. That's great.
It's actually a man. It's a man. And they'll be like, oh, you don't know that. And he's like, trust. I've been knowing that one.
Yeah.
She does not want to thank you.
Sam, just
What?
Has this owner tried to ask you out in the past?
No, never. Ever. No. He's
just a true ally.
No, he is. If anything, he has like nicknames for everyone I've ever dated over the last like 20 years. He'll be like, oh, I thought you were done with the whiner, but I saw you out with him the other night. And I'm like, which one's the whiner? And he's like, you know, the one that always does this. The mouth breather. And I'm like, oh my God, does everyone think he brings through his mouth?
It's not just you. Yeah. Yeah. But that's so nice. Like it's funny because I feel like, Adama, you have a good amount of like guy friends. Like I've met a lot of your guy friends over the years. And Sam, I know you do too. And like I have a decent amount, but it's funny because like a lot of my friends don't really have guy friends anymore. I've kind of seen this trend where like as women get older, the less guy friends you have because lines almost blur or like life stages blur.
I think, so this is my thing on this though. I have a lot of guy friends and I love guy friends. I think guy friends are great. I mean, first of all, you learn a lot about men from guy friends. They will tell you things all the time. But then the other thing is like, because women are always like, well, aren't you like lonely? Don't you like feel like you just would love male companion? No, because I have like 35 fucking guy friends and they're always in my DMs and I can have time and like,
I think the conundrum.
I'm not hungry for male company. And you become by the way, you're a lot less desperate or seeking, not that of seeking of men's comfort or
I think the conundrum for people, because like I remember even like talking to my family about like you, Adama, about how like you're single and how you're just like very happy. And like my dad said something and like, Dad, if you're listening to this, I love you. But like you said something very antiquated. And he was like, oh, I think somebody hurt hers at some point, or like somebody really like, and my dad said it out of love for you because like my dad genuinely
I know.
Yeah. And he was like, I think
people always think they're like, oh, well, she was so deeply hurt. I've just had enough.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. I was like, no, Dad, it's not that. It's that like Adama is one of the most capable and accomplished and like big life liver kind of people I know. And she's just happy as like who she is. And it would take a lot to want to disrupt any of that. And that's all it is. But it's so funny to me that like, you know, men from a certain generation, like through no like malintention on their part are just like, how can that be? They can't understand it.
But people for all reasons, a lot of reasons are always like, but don't you want this or don't you want that? And I also think I'm not a person who ever had the like big white wedding dreams. I'm also not a person who was ever like, oh, I want to have kids. And when you don't have those things weighing on your mind, it's you don't have
a lot easier,
right? Yeah, I mean, I don't have that thing where I'm like, oh, I to be complete, or for my version of being complete, I need this partner. I have an incredibly rich and fulfilling life, and like this, I told Sam this the other day. Like, sex is great. But have you ever walked into your apartment where the lighting comes on to your specification at the time of year with like lower or warmer or brighter lighting? And it does it all like just as you walk in the door, like.
Yeah. And I have said to her recently, sure, sex is great, but have you ever bid on $1 million contract with your best friend? Because that's also great. Like, but I'm the opposite. Like I have actually, I have had some of the worst men. Like men have really like
you've tried. You've tried to find love.
And Sam has road tested this out for all of us.
I love love. Like I love falling in love. I love being in love. I love having a person I can do things with. I love when we like amp each other up and get to do fun stuff. Like I love being in love. It's just I don't love when men bring their worst. Like, but this is why we have a list. Like,
well, and nowadays I just feel like the worst is like coming out so strongly. And I don't like, I think there's many things factoring into that. And I think like, we alluded to politics earlier, but I think that is a big factor in it all. But yeah, like I feel really bad for younger women who are trying to find love, but also want to like live their lives and not be apologetic or like accommodating about it, because it just seems so hard nowadays.
I mean, I literally, I wish I had good advice for women who are like looking for love. I think my best advice is if you're looking for love, go find it, but don't tie yourself down to what it has to look like. I mean, it could look like you absolutely have a job you love and friends you have a great time with. It could look like you adopt a foster child. It could look like you have a family member that you end up, an older or younger one that you end up taking in and, putting a lot of time and care and effort into. It could look like you have a pet, or it could look like you have a partner that is a man or a woman or whatever. It could look like any of those things. And like
multiple partners.
Yeah. And like I've always said, like my best friends are my soulmates. Like I am not going to go out and look for a man to try to fill something in my life, because that's not actually what I need a man for. Like it would be, like Sam said, like companionship, someone to travel with, something, somebody that's going to be fun. But like I also, if you Google me, it's a complete nightmare. So like by the time men even meet me and they've Googled me, they're like, oh God, you're like some kind of feminist. And then I'm like, yeah, I am. Because like, what am I going to say?
It's like a dirty word, right?
Like at some point you just are what the internet says you are. So I mean, it's like.
But I also think there's something to be said about like, if you want those things, and I am a person who does, like, but you have to know at what expense. I mean, Adama and I just had this conversation about someone I used to date, and sort of had like a very extensive on and off again scenario. And, it gets to the point where like, if this is at the expense of the other people who love me, like, and I don't want that. Like, it doesn't actually matter. Like at a certain point, love isn't enough if my like friends, family, daughter are so fatigued by your very existence, that I'd have to exchange one for the other. And so I think like, where are your hard stops? And also just not being like stagnant in a position of waiting. Like it's very easy for people to get hung up on, I need to find a person and I need to get married and I have to do kids. I have to buy a house. And as someone like now selling the first house I bought in my 20s, when I got married, life, the change happens. And so you can't wait on it. You have to just sort of set your benchmarks and know, with or without a person, like, what is my 1-year plan, my 3-year plan, my 5-year plan? And the right person should be able to love me for who I am now and who I will be, in which case we'll figure it out. But we don't wait, right? And I think that's so important.
I think you're speaking to something, Sam, that men also don't have to deal with, though, which is like the timeline / like body clock that we all have as women. Because like, if you do want to have children, then you frame a lot of your life decisions.
Right.
And you want to have children the traditional way, right? Because like, it's 2025. You can have a kid if you want to have a kid. But a lot of women who want to have kids the traditional way, that then, impacts your calculus around how you should live your life, when you should be getting married, when you should be having kids, all of that. But yeah, I think like, to put us all on the spot, actually, as we wrap up this episode, if we were to leave our listeners with like one piece of empowering advice from our own experiences dating or deciding not to date, what might that be? Adama, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Dating is it's such like a reciprocal activity, right? And I really believe in matching energy. And I don't believe I grew up like evangelical Christian. So I've got a lot of these like little like Christian nuggets I can throw out there for you. But like in the Bible,
nuggets.
it says not to be unequally yoked, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which means like if you are doing all of these things and you're bringing yourself and you're doing all you're doing you, like find somebody, Maddie, to your point, who celebrates that and is also doing him, so that, like Sam said, you're like bigging each other up and you're ambitious, he's ambitious, you have big goals, you have things that you want, and whatever those goals are, whether they're monetary, whether they're, saving the planet, whether they're saving the cats, whatever, that you guys can do all of these things together. And in the meantime, don't despair if it's not happening for you the way that like the world thinks things should happen for you, because nothing has happened for me the way that the world thinks things should happen for me. And like
everything turned out great.
I'm good.
Yeah.
And I'm good whether I find somebody, and I'm good if I don't.
Yeah. Love it. Sam, how about you?
I think the reciprocation piece is huge. I mean, Adama and I have had this conversation a lot in the last year, just about like how for me, because I will pour into a lot of cups and then be left dry, like I have to actively make sure, like, is this being reciprocated, or am I just, pouring into something that doesn't come back? And I think like know thyself is always rule number one. And for me, I know like I have to have someone who is also a goal digger, like not a gold digger, but a goal digger. Whatever their goals are, they have to have them. They have to support mine. And like, we got to celebrate wins together. And people who are kind of like apathetic or, stagnant, like those just it doesn't work for me. Like you have to have a vision for yourself. We have to have a vision for us. And I want to like I want someone that I can be excited about life with. And, if you are with someone who makes you feel bad about your goals and yourself and unexcited about life, like that might not be the person for you. And I think I've certainly done this. Like so many people stay in relationships with people who make them feel bad about themselves, whether it's intentionally or subconsciously. And that's not the one you want to be in, right? It impacts your health, put on weight, it impacts your cortisol. Like this is how you like get cancer and die from stress, because
stress can kill you. Yeah.
Loathing from being with someone who doesn't like you. So just, don't be with people who are half a loaf, who don't actually like you and aren't aligned with your goals, and make sure they have a goal. Like those are what I would say. And if they don't check those boxes, because the other ones will fall into place, you'll make money, someone will get sick, someone will be healthy. But if you don't at least have alignment there, what are you doing? Stop doing that.
Yeah, I love that. You just used a phrase that I was actually going to riff on a bit. Check the boxes. If I had waited to find a man who checked every single box, I would not be with my now husband. And this goes back to what I was saying around like expectations of finances and like where somebody's at in life and like all that. Like perfection is the enemy of good. And you can also like be building something great together. As long as you're starting out good, and as long as you guys are like aligned on what you value and what you envision your life being,
right,
you're good.
Well, I think that's why, like, I had a very specific long term, like, you could pick a dude out of a crowd and know that was a dude I would go out with. They all look the same. I think I dated this one guy last year, and one of our friends said he looked like my ex-boyfriend if the printer ran out of ink. They were just different shades of each other.
Like sepia?
Right. Just, dark to albino. But nonetheless, I think there's even just something to be said about like, how flexible are you? Like, yeah. I'll date someone older. I'll date someone younger. I'll date someone tall. I'll date someone my height-ish. Like, I got to be able to wear a pair of heels, and you can't be mad about
no short kings.
That's really the standard. Like, if you're angry about how tall I am in heels, then we are to match.
That's not going to work. Yeah.
But your point, like, what boxes are you prioritizing?
Yeah, just know what your non-negotiables are versus trying to check every single box. I think
what were your non-negotiables when you were looking at Nathan?
Oh my gosh. You know, I think it was exactly, well, there are a few, but one of them was exactly what he said to me around not feeling scared of intimidating a man. And I didn't even realize it until I was like staring him in the face and he was saying that to me. Because it was the first time I really felt seen and appreciated rather than being like seen and scrutinized, because I felt like every man before him was like picking apart every little thing about me because they were so intimidated by me. So that was one. And then I would also say that finding a man, and I think this is that we talked about how like I'm married to a foreigner and how like American men are, you know, a special breed nowadays. Finding a man who thought about the world from the lens of everybody else and not himself. That was another thing that I didn't even realize was non-negotiable until I was with a man who was as empathetic and as like well-rounded as my husband is. And that's my biggest like worry, honestly, about like American men and like this like generation right now is that everybody is very selfish and like not willing to bend or to change. And like, my God, like how I was raised and who I was, like if I didn't learn how to listen to and understand other people's vantage points, like I was a staunch Republican up until about age 25, 26. I married one of the most like liberal men I've ever met. If I had not learned to like look at the world beyond like the Maddie viewpoint, we couldn't be together. So yeah, those are my non-negotiables. Be well-rounded, see things from other people's vantage points, and let women be their fabulous selves.
Love it.
That's a great one.
Love it.
So anyway, ladies, this was fun.
I like the chaotic Friday afternoon.
Yeah. Listeners, we'll send a little poll if you guys want more chaotic Friday topics like this, accompanied by some wine and some cats. Let us know. We're here for it.
I mean,
I got a few DMs. I got a few DMs from people that were kind of saucy about their dating experiences, specifically in politics. So I don't know. Let us know if you have thoughts on dating and politics, because maybe that's like its own whole episode.
Yeah.
I do think that's its own thing.
Yeah. We could probably go down a lot of rabbit holes there. But anyway, all right. Well, maybe should we spend the last minute brainstorming on what the next fun chaotic Friday topic should be, and then we can ask people for their votes.
Yeah.
I think we need to do one on like travels and tribulations, because
yes,
I love it.
Just like horrible travel experiences, chaotic travel.
All right, let's add it to the list. We can set a poll. Adama, any thoughts on you?
I think we should do something on like overconsumption. Like, what things have you bought that you were like, I don't even use this? Like, how did I, like the algorithm pushed it to me and now I have it. And I'm like, what am I doing?
Okay, I love it. I think I want to do one on like health related and all of the content and points of view we're getting pushed that are like completely unfounded.
Yeah, I totally want to do one on like, what is the most like unhinged, like dietary or medical thing that like is either trying to get you to do or that you've actually done and then been like,
why did I do that?
Right.
Yeah,
like drinking raw milk, taking ivermectin, and then sunning your butthole kind of thing.
Colonics. I mean, like we can like go deep.
All right, listeners, we're gonna send a poll out after this episode, and you guys can dictate which one we do next.
Why are you sunning your butthole?
I have never heard of that until today. To be clear, so the algorithm clearly either knows you, Sam, or doesn't know you.
No, I am not doing that. I'm just saying there was a whole viral thing on the internet about doing that, and I was like, "This cannot."
How do you even do that? Do you have to like?
Please Google it. I am not doing it. This is not on my health list.
I'm not Googling that for any reason.
What is wrong with my algorithm that it came up?
I'd have to disable the image search first. My God.
On that note, now we all know what we're going to go Google.
I will just say I have the worst algorithm ever because I do have so many male friends and they send me the most garbage TikToks ever. And I've just given up on TikTok now. I open it and I'm like, someone needs to go to jail.
See, the algorithm knows me so well because all I see are like funny cat videos, like fun corporate girly aesthetic like outfits, and then like travel like inspo.
I'm gonna need you to send me
That
some
sounds
TikToks
relaxing.
so I can.
Yeah, no, it's like my Pinterest. Like, they've both learned me really well. This is
Mine
why.
is like doom political news.
Why am I surprised?
Like horrible political news. Like this is all the like you don't go outside. Habeas corpus is gone. Like
I told my doctor the other day because my cortisol test, like everything was like through the roof, and I told my doctor jokingly, and I love you so much, Adama, but I was like, oh, it's because I have a friend who sends me meme after meme about why we're all going to die.
I mean, that is like my whole algorithm, so that's great. And then the other half of it is like F1 content.
Yeah.
I'm into that. More to come on F1.
Yes. We'll have to get my husband who knows all about racing at some
Oh
point.
my God, let's do an F1 episode, please.
Down. Okay, let's add that to our list. All right, that'll be like one of the chaotic episode topics. Anyway. All right, guys, this was fun. Have a great freaking weekend, and we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.